What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the FN Studios. I am John Ramdeen, joined by undefeated Canadian-Russian Yoni Sherbatov, who's on the current season of The Ultimate Fighter, Henry Cejudo, Joseph Benavidez. You're on Team Cejudo, number 2 seeded at 5-0-1. Did people know your name when you got to the show?
The trainers, yes. The fighters, no. So I think everybody was shocked. Myself coming in, hearing that was number 2. When Dana White said it, I'm walking with a big smile. I'm like, oh man, that's a big pressure going on though. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, Robin and I were having a conversation with John Pollock about the idea of being, in order to achieve success in mixed martial arts in today's age, that it feels like you need to be a lifelong martial artist if you want to be a mixed martial artist. You've dedicated your life to martial arts. Is this the path that you believed that you would be on eventually?
I honestly followed what from the beginning with my parents. They did send us to do martial arts to defend ourselves and for self-esteem. Age of 5, 6, starting doing some taekwondo, and then just moved on to Thai jiu-jitsu, boxing, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, wrestling. So if that was my path, at a certain age, yeah, at the end, I'm like, you know what, I need to do something with what I know and what I'm capable. And my manager Andy is like, you're gonna be good in MMA. Concentrate on that. And I put my wrestling career on the side, and I looked, towards UFC, and I said, this is where I want to end up. Be the guy who's gonna hold the belt for the UFC.
A lot of people, after the Ultimate Fighter reality show, they say, I would never do that again. You're being stuck in this house with guys that you potentially could be fighting down the road. Was it a positive experience? Could you take any positives out of this experience, being away from your family, being away from your camp? Could you soak some of the important things in?
Being there 6 weeks away from everything that you used to, you have a way to wake up, a way to talk to people, and the guys in front of you, you don't know them, and everybody has a back idea. Everybody wants to be the champion there. But what I liked, what the Ultimate Fighter season did for us is build a character. Being able to come up from that show and being still alive and it just gives you so much strength. You put me against anybody now. I've been there. I saw all the competition, and yeah, definitely it built an enormous character for me. I became stronger and more confident, and the fact that knowing that there's 16 guys that been chosen by the UFC that has a belt around the world, and I'm one of them. I'll fight Alistino, whatever his name is, or maybe give me the biggest guy, I'll beat him.
What I find is interesting is that we've talked to many coaches and fighters, something I say very often, and when we talk about what's next for you, when you look at the future, they're like, oh, I can't worry about anything but the opponent that's standing across the cage from me. Well, you have a bunch of opponents that you have to be concerned about. On top of that, you win the show, you're going to be fighting for the UFC championship. Is that easy? Is that balancing act easy, trying to figure out, okay, what do you need to do to beat this guy and this guy and this guy and that guy, and then eventually defeat Demetrius Johnson?
What I liked about the guys there, talking about the coaches, they really made us concentrate on our opponent at that moment. And for us, I think that was the most important, because if you start thinking who's going to be next, who you're going to fight, and thinking about his techniques when you have a very dangerous opponent waiting for you in the cage, you don't have. For me personally, I didn't think about what's the next step. I was thinking about the guy who's going to be in the cage at that moment.
We know that you've spent time in New Mexico training at Mike Winklejohn's and Greg Jackson's. You have your own facility in Laval, Quebec. Why make the travels when we know that the TriStar facility is very, very close? Is your team now back at home, or do you still travel to get the best training partners?
My team is still and always going to be Sherbatov MMA. That were everything we build from the age of 5. For training partners, definitely traveling and getting a different feel from different opponents. It's good for me. I don't like to go to the States because it's a different mentality. The guys there are they have less to lose, in my opinion. They're there to, when I spar with them, they want to get me. They want to hurt me, and it brings my confidence, and brings me completely another game, and I'm concentrating like it was a real fight. And when I leave, I have nothing to think about, and I have kids, wife, so I got to be able to manage all of this. So the fact when I leave, I don't think about anything, only training, sparring, and surviving. That's it.
When you look at the game of mixed martial arts, I think the fans, the viewers, they see you as athletes as comic book characters. You know, you don't have feelings, you don't have emotions, but that's not the truth. You're a human being. You deal with adversity. How do you make sure that when you're dealing with outside distractions, when you're dealing with family matters, that you still have your eye on the prize and focused on your career when certain things in your life may not be what we see them?
You know, just what just happened in my life right now. It's after coming back from the show, my wife lost a child, and it was very hard for all of us. And I'm still going through it, you know. And but I'm trying not to use this as a negative, you know, because it is hard. Sometimes you just want to, close the door and cry about it because it's very hard emotionally. But I have one goal, and there's so many weight on my shoulder, but I put that on the side, and I want to end up my life. When it's time to retire, when it's time to give everything away, I want that my kids, when they look at me, be like, Yoni Sherbatov, my father went until the end, and he pushed. No, there's so many obstacles. That's the huge obstacle for me. Just the fact that 6 weeks being in the house and coming back with a nightmare. Losing a child is a nightmare. So for me, for myself, I want to show that this, no matter what can happen in your life, if you have one goal, push it. Doesn't matter. Give everything you have, and then show to the world and to yourself that you're able to do it. And that's my goal.
One thing I've learned about you and your team, it really is a family affair. Everybody that you surround yourself with, very, very supportive. Your parents, your brothers,
Yeah.
Andy. Is that important in order for you to achieve success?
100%. I mean, every successful business, there's a machine behind that. And I think so. My family, my friends, my kids, my wife, everybody, they're behind me. And just their smile, laughs, their ideas helps me to achieve what I want.
For people that have not seen you fight, can you describe your fighting style? We know not that long ago you were fighting professional boxing. We know you have a Taekwondo background. You have a martial arts background. But if people have not seen you fight, describe it.
So, yeah, that's I'm 5'2". So I'm a great stand-up fighter. I do use a lot of my stand-up boxing, Muay Thai, Taekwondo, all of this. The fact that I started stand-up, it did really help me to be able to perform in the octagon. And I have a great wrestling background. I was a Canadian champion in Greco-Roman. Had a great trainer behind me, helping me out to succeed. He was a second in Olympic Games, Gia Susuri, so he's amazing in what he does. And my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I was on top. So if you put me in any situation, I'll be able to manage it. You always have something that can happen, but I'm there. I'm able to always manage.
He is the undefeated Yoni Sherbatov. Tune in to The Ultimate Fighter Season 24 on TSN on Wednesdays.